It's welcome to another episode of, well, we didn't even go live. So let's see. Is it
It
live
says
on
we're live.
Facebook? It's live there. So welcome to another episode of Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Nick Smith. We got a great show for you. If you've wondered about relationship advice, unfiltered and ready to go, you're going to want to see this episode. So hang tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Giants, to another awesome episode of Wake Up with Giants TV. This time we're focusing on relationships. So we're alternating series here. So I'm joined today in studio with Andrea Baumgarner, beautiful girlfriend, who I love. So she's going to help me navigate relationship. We got to say we're kind of raw and unfiltered in our own relationship. We're navigating it ourselves. And so we're looking forward to this. Look forward to our newest website. My 12 Journeys is changing. And so in the next few weeks, you'll start to see that go live. It's going to be a centralized hub for everything. So as soon as you go to my12journeys.com, you'll see all of the YouTube videos, the Tribe of Giants, the communities, articles, blog posts, and the best part is it's free to be a part of it. So make sure you come join us there, but give us a few weeks to get it all set up. Andy, do you have any announcements you want to make? I know a big one for you.
Probably someone's going to be even older on Tuesday. So it's my 50th birthday.
Turning big 50. So
Happy birthday to me.
shout her out in the comments here. Turning 50 this week.
50. My Venmo is just kidding.
Kidding, not kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If you really want to, I won't, I'm not going to
I won't return.
Yeah, no refunds on that.
How often do you turn 50?
Right.
Just kidding.
So we've got a great guest today. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. I'll introduce our guest. We've got Veronica. You go by Roni. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Baumgarner?
Baumgarner.
Baumgarner. You got the easiest name in the world here.
I went from Garcia to Baumgarner.
Oh, nice.
It was quite the change.
Well, we're gonna have fun today, just diving into your world. So today we're diving into a conversation that could truly change your life. If you've ever struggled with relationships, self-worth, mental health, or simply finding your path, then you're in the right place. Our guest today is someone who doesn't just talk about healing and growth. She lives it and helps others do the same. She's a certified relationship coach, mental health advocate, and the voice behind Roni's Remedy, a show and platform dedicated to real, raw, and transformative conversations about life, love, and personal empowerment. She's also an advice columnist for the Yuma Sun, where she answers real-life questions about her signature mix of truth, wisdom, and a little tough love. But beyond her credentials, she's a passionate mom, a devoted wife, and someone who genuinely wants to help people break free from limitations and step into their power. So get ready for an episode packed with deep insights, real talk, and actionable solutions, because today we're cutting through the noise and getting straight to what really matters. Please help me welcome the amazing, insightful, and empowering Veronica Roni Baumgarner. So welcome to the show.
Welcome to the
show. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
That was a beautiful intro. That was a lot. But I loved it all. And I didn't know this was like your premiere episode of this show when I signed up. So I was like, oh my God, the pressure. But no, I'm like really, really honored.
Yeah, but you can't screw it up though. That's the good news. We've tried. There's Ryan Morris. He's my co-host on the other show, Wake Up with Giants TV. But yeah, we've done 320 episodes of Wake Up with Giants, and we focused on the inner world, of what it takes to navigate your life and what you grew up with. And in this episode, we're going to do that around relationship. And so we're going to go through the non-conscious journeys, the 12 journeys of, awareness, grief, acceptance, gratitude, empowerment, all of the good stuff. And so I really want to start out with the non-conscious part of relationship and what you thought relationship was prior to your current understanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. So you mean like old thought patterns, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Or conditioning of this is what relationship is,
yeah.
and this is how it's supposed to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Now I understand. Like I think that we all grow up with this like fairy tale of this is what it's gonna be, and you're gonna meet the guy of like the love of your life, or vice versa, and it's just gonna be so easy, and there's not gonna be any fighting, and you're gonna get along, and everything is gonna be great. And me and
yeah,
my husband, so we've been married. We're working on I think 7 years of marriage this year, and we had to work through that ourselves. That we actually do really get on each other's nerves, a lot of the time, and we have to learn to speak up and say it when that happens. But don't know, no one really prepares you for a relationship or marriage. You have to just kind of figure it out as you go. But it is so much compromise, it is so much communication. It's learning not to take everything super personally, and be able to share when something is bothering you, but in like a nice and kind, loving way. So, but growing up, like I don't know if I ever saw any real healthy relationships. So getting into one, I didn't really know what it was. So it's kind of just been a journey that we're experiencing with each other. And then going to other married couples for help too.
yeah.
How long did you guys date for?
Oh man, so we met in 2014. We started dating in 2015 and got married in 2018. So 3 years.
That's a good time.
He just was everything. I told him to watch. I'm like, watching
Yeah.
it, watch.
Rule number one, I'm right, or she's right.
That's my
Rule
mom.
number two,
Yeah.
That is,
I'm right.
yeah.
Rule
Yeah, my mom
number
wrote,
three, if
"Ha,
I'm
ha,
not right,
no."
she's right.
Yeah. And I try to tell him like happy wife, happy. He just doesn't understand that. He's like,
I got to figure out something that rhymes with happy husband, right?
yeah, it just doesn't work
That's
out.
How
true.
to do
Doesn't
that. I feel cornered. What about acknowledging? So, looking at what you were raised with in relationship, and what society teaches as far as what relationship should be, and it's different by culture. We're here in Utah, and there's a culture of you've known each other for about 2 days, you should probably be engaged by now, and some of that is. I don't know that there's a right answer of how long people should get to know each other or anything like that, but maybe you had some views about relationship that you've had to let go of in your current relationship, and just an awakening to all these things that just aren't working, and how do you navigate that? Like, what were those and how did you navigate that?
So like letting go of things. Are you talking about relationships like with people while being married?
No, let's talk about just your relationship, things you
Okay.
thought relationship should look like, maybe that you had
Okay.
learned along the way. And then as you get in relationship, you find out, wow, that really doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of compromise. It's not me get it's God, it's just been a lot of like inside maturity and growth that my husband is not responsible for making me happy. Like that's
Mm.
it. And I think that people think that too, like, oh, my partner's going to keep me happy, but that's they've already failed then. If I expect someone to keep me happy 24/7, then they can't do that. They're just so unable to do that. And so happiness is an inside job, and I have to really really work on it from inside, and be okay with myself. Like it's crazy to think that like I can't have a relationship with anybody else until I have a relationship with myself, until I can fully accept myself, all my defects and my assets, and then work on that. But yeah, just letting go of thinking that this is marriage and it's going to be perfect all the time, and it's not going to be a princess fairy tale. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. You're going to go through trials and tribulations, but if you maintain it and do it together, man, you grow so much, and on also knowing that we're on the same team. Sometimes we forget that. Like it's just like we're butting heads so much. And it's like, no, that's my enemy. And it's like, no, that's the person I decided to be with. So they're on my team, whether I feel like they are or not.
Yeah. Andy, do you have thoughts on that?
Did you like anything specific? Like, say, you get married, you move into a house together, and was there any kind of like, oh my gosh, like the way you guys maintain the house, dishes, any like just stupid stuff that people
Yes.
have issues
Yes.
over? Was there like certain things, like anything kind of specific or that you're just like, oh my gosh, like chew with your mouth shut, you know, closed or anything like that. Like, where, you know, those uncomfortable conversations where like, I'm really getting annoyed by you.
I feel like you're describing my entire life. Like I go through this on a daily basis. No offense, honey. We've had this talk many times. I know he's watching, but he's a very like aggressive chewer. And I'm like, can you just like quiet down a little bit? You know, like, or leaving wet towels places or coffee mugs in the bathroom. Like there's these little things that bug me, but that's what happens when there's always gonna be a learning curve. I was a single mom when I met my husband, and so it was just me and my oldest son. You know, that was it. So I was just used to us. And then, you know, then we decide to move in together, and we get pregnant and we move in together, and then it was just like it just was a lot. You have to just know there's going to be a learning curve when you move in with somebody. It's totally different. The dynamic has changed because now you're sharing your space. So what really helped is when he moved into my condo, and then we moved and got our own place together. So then it was neither one of ours. You know, then it was ours together instead of, oh, you moved into my place. This is where all the plates and dishes and this is how the bathroom should look. Because those things are going to happen. But once we got our place together where neither one of us had established dominance, you know, then it was nice. But there's still things like all the time that I'm like, can you please just stop leaving like the cabinet open? You know, like things like that. Close the door behind you, turn the lights off. It's just living with somebody.
Yeah, I understand that because that's how it was with, you know, where I was in my house for 30 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. But how did you guys navigate being that you had your boy? And, you know, how old was your boy when you guys got married?
He was 5. Well, okay. So the oldest, no, he was 8. And then our youngest was almost 1. I mean, our middle was almost 1. Now our daughter is the youngest. She's almost 4. So
was it hard navigating, kind of bringing the kids in?
Yes.
You know, just the whole thing.
Yeah. That was a thing we had to work through too, was that I was the only one that did discipline or, you know, all the things. So then when I have him come in and try to put his foot down, I'm like immediately, you know, oh, no, you know, don't be mean to him, you know. And so then the power dynamic, that was something I had to work on until my husband came to me and said, look, you're not even allowing me, you know, to try to say what I need to say. And it was a huge eye opener for us. And we still work on that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things too, is you get in your patterns so much with how you think life should be for you. And individually, you get really good at living your life. And then you bring in a partner, and Andy and I have had conversations about this. Maybe we should just have 2 separate houses with a hallway, right? So we can each have our space. Because it's hard to give that up a little bit, is, you know, you get into your patterns and routines, and then you come into a somewhat established life. And there's some navigating or negotiating that has to happen there. I have 4 kids. I have 2 at home still. Andy's got a dog, you know, like she was done raising kids. I didn't have a dog, right? So we had to come together on these 2 things, and we still navigate that of how do we manage that? You know, how do you let go of your, I would call them preferences, because we get really ingrained in our preferences around people. And then when they don't do what we want, then we get frustrated that they're not living the life we think they should live for us. What do you have to say around that?
I call that expectations.
Okay.
My expectations of what should be happening are always going to be let down. They really are. If I just throw my expectations, kind of like you said, preferences out the window.
Yeah.
And learn that this person's not going to check all the boxes and do all the things I want. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as like a perfect match, you know? And so yeah, when expectations I find to be are a huge relationship killer, because if you expect this person to do this, and that all the time, I'm sorry, I'm not a mind reader. You know, last time I checked, I wasn't psychic. And so like, I don't know like what you need from me unless you tell me. And that's why I tell people, just communicate. Even though it's super uncomfortable to go to somebody and say, man, this has kind of been bothering me a little bit. I wonder if we could talk about it. Nobody wants to do that. You know, you don't want to have those weird talks, but you kind of have to. But yeah, if you just put your expectations, preferences to the side and compromise and say, look, okay, you know, you bring your dog, but it can only sleep here. You know, like you have to talk about those things. And so
Yeah.
So much can be fixed if you just talk it out.
The idea of perfection, right, is it's one of those hard things because we get our ideals about what relationship should be, and then you get in a relationship with somebody and you find out, well, they're a little different from what I idealized. And then you have the choice to either be firm with your ideals. And so this is where I'd wonder, where do you recognize the line between a boundary, a preference, and does that make sense? And an ideal,
Yeah.
like the, yeah, because that's where people, I think we get stuck in, I want that perfect partner and they need to look like this, and this. And then you get in relationships with somebody and they're none of that, or they're some of that, right?
Yeah. And that's when like the puppy love phase is over. The rose-colored glasses come off and you start to see someone for who they really, really are a little bit. But if you really do love them enough and you want to work with them, you have to work on it too. Like I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, okay, so all these things in my head, I'm judging somebody else about, like, what am I doing? Because I know I'm doing some of them too. So it's if I am able to stop judging less, and then, but boundaries, like you said, I love that word. I love boundaries are so important because there are things that I do hold ideals to myself. There are things that I really, really, really need to stay true to. So that's when, setting those boundaries down. But,
Yeah.
boundaries are made to be moved occasionally. They're not set in stone.
Yeah. Yeah. As an example, the Gulf of America.
Jeez. All of the names. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's going really well. Andy, do you have thoughts around that? Like, what do you think as you hear that?
It is definitely a work.
Yeah.
I mean, relationships are work, but I personally find, we all have our expectations and then we just set ourselves up for failure, disappointment when we have those and we're placing them on other people because, as nice and in perfect world, oh, they just do what I want them to do and do what I expect and it'd be wonderful. And they know what I'm thinking before I even say it, but that's just not reality. And so, compromise is big. Compromise, because I can't see. I don't know. I think letting go of those expectations and like you said, like just looking inward and going, how many of those things do I personally do myself? And they're not like harping on me. They're not getting on my case for it. And I need to just learn to chill. Just breathe.
Yeah,
so
easier said than done.
Yeah,
but
it's work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's work.
But what about the non-negotiables? Because each of us has some things in our world that are non-negotiables. They're like, I will not go there. I won't allow that, right? Because there are some things that you just say that's a deal killer. And how do you
and that
recognize the
happens.
difference? Yeah.
That happens though. Like say you meet somebody and they don't want kids and you do. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason to pursue the relationship if that's not going to work. It's okay. You met someone that could have worked and it didn't. And then you kind of have to go find someone. That's when you have to be true to yourself and not be so stuck in fear about, oh, what am I going to miss out on if I don't
Mm,
pursue this? Or I'm never going to get any better or whatever. You have to stop limiting yourself. But there are things that I hold like true and dear to my heart that my husband does not agree on.
yeah.
And that's where we say, let's agree to disagree and we don't push our views on each other. And I love you regardless. That's why like I see relationships get broken up because of political beliefs or this or that. And it's like that does not have to be even in the way of your relation. I'm going to tell you guys, my husband does not know who I voted for. He has no clue. It's not his business. Like it's nobody's business who I voted for, but he loves telling everyone who he voted for, and that's happy for him. Like
that's why like when I'm dating, it's like, or when I was dating, I don't that would be like, before anything else, what's your political party?
Yeah, and that's a deal breaker.
Like that's really bad that's like one of the top 3 questions I have.
Yeah.
But it was because I think there's also a mentality that goes with it.
I agree. And I do see that. And I do see political beliefs being very important. But me and my husband have had discussions about all of that. And I'm able to still love him for him. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't like the things that I say. Sometimes it's just because I'm a woman and he's a man and we have different views on certain things going on in the world. But like, it doesn't mean that's going to break us up. that's not going to be why, we end up not being together because we didn't share that view. But some people are different.
Well, Andy and I have differences of views, not
Mm-hmm.
politically, it's more spiritual and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've come to terms with that. I really like her, she really likes me, and
I
so
licked him. He's
she
mine.
licked me. So,
The like is mutual. I like it. Yeah.
but it's like it's still a navigation of her beliefs and belief systems and my unique belief systems, and truly allowance for what is. The
Yeah.
journey of acceptance in the 12 journeys is about allowance. And so when it comes to relationship, it's not about resignation or giving up the things that truly matter to you, but creating space for the things that maybe are uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and creating space for the things that are maybe different, because I don't think two people are ever going to be exactly the same. That would be pretty annoying to me.
You'd be with yourself. Why do you want to be
Yeah.
with yourself?
Might as well
Yeah,
just
how
be with yourself.
exactly. Yeah.
Just be alone.
You're just hanging out with you. It's like, well, that's not pushing me to grow and learn at
Yeah.
all. And that's what I tell my husband too. And he's like, when I want him to continue to help me,
Yeah.
like I want him to continue to help me change the person I am for the better. And
Yeah.
he does less of that. I do more of that. I am definitely more of the pusher, but we're learning that together. But I totally agree. Me and my husband, we share common spiritual ideals. So that is awesome, but our practices are different.
Mm.
So our practices are, he's a big meditator, like every morning gets up, meditates, uses the apps, or he faces like a certain way, or like he's very I don't want to say strict because but he's just like very into his
Devout,
practice. So
right?
yeah, exactly. I'm very like, let's just go with the flow and whatever happens. And if I might meditate while I'm working out, like I don't know, I just don't have any set schedule like him. So, but we both reach the same point in the
Yeah.
end. That's what's so
Al,
cool.
Al, this is live, by the way.
Yeah.
You were here with us. So shout out to Al Richards. He's in the hospital in a recovery center now.
Hmm.
Lost his leg to an
Oh no.
amputation, and so is navigating life. Powerful human. Just shouting him out. There's Ryan Morse again. So yeah, so navigating the differences. It's really about being okay with the differences. Like
Yes.
I appreciate the differences. In fact, it's pushed me in new ways to have Andy's differences. And so it's opened me up to more spirituality in ways I hadn't anticipated. And so there's a gratitude for that too. And so I'm wondering, how important is gratitude, and which is one of our journeys. The journey of gratitude is acknowledging the good that's in your world. And how important is that to a relationship?
Oh, it's extremely important because I can get bogged down with all the negative. I can get bogged down with all the things that he's doing to completely, and when I say, like, I'm talking about my husband, but what I learned in relationships, it's with everybody and everything. I have a relationship with my mom, my kids, my friends, I have
Yeah.
relationships with everybody. But when I'm just focusing on all the things they're doing to bother me, like you said, there is absolutely no gratitude. There's nothing there that I'm thankful for. So what helps me is to get out pen and paper and just start at the top. A, B, C, D. Like, what am I grateful for? Something that starts with A that has to do with them, B, C, D. And by the time I'm even halfway through the alphabet, I'm like, okay, there's so many things that I do love about this person. I just have to focus on the positive. It doesn't mean they're not going to bug me, because they do. People bug each other. That's just how it
You,
works.
you sometimes find the gratitude at the very last letter. You're like, finally.
D.
You're like,
I love their zits.
And then I'm like, no,
I
that's
love
not
their
enough.
zits.
Let's get into numbers. I'm like, no, I'm still upset. But yeah.
You're like, that's too far. Z is too far. Well, okay. So in relationship, there are a lot of emotions, and emotional maturity is a big deal. And if two people, one thing I appreciate about Andy is that she owns her stuff. So if I bring something up and she, sometimes she'll get really guarded, but not, I mean, most of the time she's pretty open to, okay, yeah, I recognize I do that. But there are still emotions involved, and we have to navigate those sometimes together, sometimes individually. And so, what would you share with somebody around the importance of emotions? What tools work? What have you seen in your columns, and your show?
Well, what I say is, the first thing that comes to your head, don't say it. It's always wrong, because I immediately want to be like, well, and that's never going to work. So I'm married to, his name's Bo, and his first reaction is always to get defensive. And that's been a struggle for me. That's always been a struggle for me, like instantly defensive. And I'm like, but I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to help you. So that's something I've had to work on, kind of allow him to go through that phase. And then when he's calmed down, then let's have a good talk about it. Or if I go up to him and say, hey, this is something I kind of really need to talk to you about. Can we set a time to do this?
Yeah.
And turning to each other and holding hands, it seriously like melts the anger away. If you just hold hands while you talk, it just really, really works. But yeah, I learned that too. I had read it somewhere, and I'm not saying we practice it all the time, but if we just kind of are nice to each other, make good eye contact, know that we're on the same team and we can do this together, it does help a lot. But don't say the first thing that comes to your mind, and do not make decisions out of anger. Never make decisions out of anger. It is just a quick knee-jerk reaction, and you're going to create so much more wreckage than when you started.
Yeah, Andy, do you have some thoughts on that?
No, I completely agree. Like, I'm a little spicy. Sometimes I get a little fiery, but I don't know. I mean,
she's Costa Rican. It's in her DNA. She can't help it.
She can't help it, exactly.
But I think we balance each other out, because it helps that he's calming. But like, there's times where we've like, gah. And it is right, like where you just, I think it helps us to just, okay, calm down, time out. Let's reconvene. And always when we reconvene, we could talk and be level-headed with each other. It doesn't happen. I could count like maybe twice or 3 times in 20 months. And so where it's the reconvening, that's where it's most productive in the conversation, and just with everything. And so it does help to have both parties. One, you want the relationship, and so you're willing to work on it, and then also be doing their own work and being able to be humble and look at yourself too, and be able to listen and kind of see where the other person's coming from.
Yeah, I love that. I love the listening, because sometimes I forget to do that. He forgets to do that. And I try to tell him, like, and we both try to practice, like, don't listen to respond. You're not even listening to what I'm saying. You're just automatically thinking of a rebuttal in your head halfway through my sentence. Just hear me, repeat back what I said, and then let's continue to have the conversation. But timeouts are so good. I love that you do that. Timeouts are great. Like, okay, we can't do this. Like when the voices start being raised, we're not even hearing each other anymore. Let's just like take a break.
There's more damage being done in that time than just going time out and then come back.
Yeah. I prefer, when I'm feeling something is
talk to death.
You're like, enough. Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm sorry, honey.
He's like, oh, is that true?
Like, all of a sudden the bus is like all over me. I like to speak. Okay, yes, I do talk it to death. I do talk it to death. And I like to speak in the first person of, this is what I'm experiencing, and this is what I'm noticing, and this is how that impacts me over here, versus you do this and you're doing that. And there's sometimes that slips out, right? Yeah. But I try and pull it back to, okay, this is what what's going on in me over here with that. And Al says Nick's lost for words. Yep. Yeah. So how do people communicate? How can they communicate in a way that honors what they're experiencing on the inside, and still resolves the issue? Because it's not enough to just walk on eggshells around your partner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is where good communication comes in. And you have to be able to speak up. You have to say, okay, I need a break, and let's reconvene when we're both calm. But I am also married to a talker. Yeah, he likes to just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I have this rule where if it's past 9 o'clock, I'm like, I get what you're going
right here.
If it's past 9 o'clock, I told him, like, I don't want to have any important discussions. You're not going to get anything good out of me right now. I have that boundary for myself.
Mm.
And it's just so hard though with kids when we need to have a good talk, like getting them to not bother us. And I don't like fighting in front of the children. We need to go and take care of this separately. But it's just good communication and letting that person be who they are. It's like I love that you keep bringing up acceptance, because that's something we've really, really practiced over the last, almost 10 years of knowing each other. I have to accept him, flaws, beauty,
Yeah.
everything. And then as we mature and get older in life and get a little, quote unquote wiser, it just gets a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're losing your mind at that point, and so you like
Yeah.
forget things, and
You're like, what was I mad about? I don't
or
even know.
you're like, who are you as you wake up? And then you get to the
He's
first
talking
again.
right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. He just
He's
loves
on
to
this side
talk.
of the camera. Remember to say this. Remember that?
No,
Yeah.
he's not here. I made him take the kids to his aunt's house because I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
funny.
I need quiet, calm, serene, and I know you're gonna try to jump in, so
That's funny.
let's not do that.
That's funny.
That's
Mhm.
funny.
So looking at, in the 12 journeys, that's our concept here, is that the first 6 journeys are all about the inner world. And, we always say from who you think you are, but when it comes to a relationship, it's an extension of what you think relationship is and everything you've been taught around it. And then acceptance, the journey of acceptance, is about acknowledging what is and then being okay with it without resigning to it. Because there can be some things that are present that it doesn't mean you're resigning to it, but you need to be aware of it. Otherwise, you can't transform it. And then navigating grief, the journey of grief, which is all the heavy emotions, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the joy, all of the emotions. And then you go into the journey of gratitude, where it's all about what's good.
Yeah.
What is good? Where's the abundance in this relationship? And then you go into the journey of empowerment, which is learning tools, which we just talked about. Now
Yeah.
we're going to talk on the flip side here about the growth journeys, because as a couple, you learn to navigate each other and you learn to get good with each other.
Mhm.
And then maybe you come into your world where the two of you are one of you could be established, the other's not established. Both of you are unestablished, right? Both of you are established.
Yeah.
You're doing really well in life. And then you're stepping into the unknown together. So the journey of uncertainty is recognizing that nothing is set in stone yet. So we're going to create this together. Can you speak to that? How do you navigate when, people are in two different spaces and they come together to create together?
And I love that you talked about this, because it's literally what's happening in our life right now. We are both embarking on new careers.
Yeah.
So when we met, and I worked in a mental health field, I worked at a mental health center where I ran groups for people with physical and mental disabilities. It was great, like just being able to teach them coping skills. And that's why I just love this so much. I just love talking to people and helping them feel not alone. Well,
Yeah.
then I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and he was the breadwinner for all those years. And then I get relationship coach certified about a year ago, and he just got his EMT and firefighting certificate. So
Yeah.
he's waiting to get hired on as a firefighter EMT. And so we're both changing everything we've known, over the last almost 9 years. So we're navigating that right now. And it really, really, we really have to learn to lean on each other to say,
Right.
hey, and it affects our financials. Financials are a huge thing that can cause people to fight or break people up. We have to learn to talk about that and be real about it. Like, hey, we're not in that position to do this right now. Or yeah, sure, we can go do that. So it's just so much. It always comes back to communication. But
Yeah.
going through this journey and watching him go through the fire academy and the EMT, like it was a beautiful experience to see him so motivated, so dedicated. It brought us closer. And then me too, him watching me be on this show with you guys. I mean, that's not something we thought would ever happen. And so it's actually brought us closer together, but there's going to be a lot of fear. There's going to
Hmm.
be a lot of, is this the right path? There's so much questioning. And that's where faith comes in, and then talking to each other and just being on the same team. Just be on the same team and talk about, I don't have the energy to do this today, or maybe you can help me do this. It's just leaning on each other so, so, so much.
Yeah. Andy, do you have additional thoughts to that?
It is definitely the unknown is scary. It's very scary, but I think, yeah, just leaning on each other and just as being willing to accept what's gonna happen and just be a support to each other. I mean, there's really no other option. I mean, you could fight it, but that
Yeah.
goes against what your goal is.
I think it comes down to commitment too. Like the idea of commitment is, and it's up to each person because we decide what we're committed to. But if you're committed, then some of that navigation is going to be walking alongside each other, just trusting that it's going to play out the way you envision or hope, but nobody has any guarantees.
Yeah.
And so if you're committed to something else, then that's going to show up, and that'll show up in your commitments because you'll move toward that, right? But if you're committed to the person, I kind of see that, and maybe you can help me clarify this. Is maybe
it's rambling right now on the sound.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but
is it still? Is it
you're good now? It just sounded like you're underwater.
I like being underwater sometimes. So, yeah, thank you for that. So navigating that, the uncertainty is a big thing. There's a lot of trust and faith, and you don't know. Nobody knows how it's going to play out. We don't know what's happening in the next room. We don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. And so many people go around pretending like they know the future, and you're going to be this, and you're going to do this, and this is how it's going to play out. And you don't know. But one thing I do know is if you resign to your old patterns, then that's exactly what's going to play out. Right.
Exactly. Yep.
So can you speak to that a little bit? Like, how would you guide somebody if, with that kind of uncertainty and walking alongside somebody when you don't know?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, you don't get to know. That's what I keep telling myself when I'm like, okay, this is the things I want out of being a coach. I want this business and I want. And then that's where I'm like, okay, but I'm not aligning my will to what the universe wants for me. I have to stop being so selfish. That's something I can really get caught up in. And so it is a team, and it is uncertainty, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. I'm uncomfortable not knowing if this is even going to work out for me. But like, I have learned over the last few years that I don't get to know. And if I feel like this is the next right thing to do, it is. Something always works out. If it's the next right thing to do, I have good feelings about it. Maybe I'm nervous or scared about it. That doesn't matter. Just walk through it. I'm not going to, and I love what you said, but if you go back to your old behavior patterns, you know exactly what's going to happen. What's going to happen is what's always happened. And so you have got to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. But, and failure is okay.
Failure is okay. And you can't require the other person to have the same level of commitment as you. That's up to them. That's a choosing in, right? Mm-hmm. So, and if both of you choose in, then you can walk alongside each other, but there's still no known.
Yeah. There's days where he's so much more confident in what's going on and where we're going to be, and I'm not. And then so it's like this up and down. And some days we're on the same page, and some days we're like, yeah, we've got this, like, blah, blah, blah. And then other days I'm like a crying wreck on the floor, and he's like, it's okay. Like, I'll make the kids dinner, and I'm like, okay. So like, it's just, it's a balance, and it's knowing that everything's going to be okay. Even when it's not okay, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Andy, other thoughts on that?
No, it is a tough one for me. I love certainty, but like,
and I'm like, I don't know what certainty looks like.
You're just like, if it happens, this happens, whatever. And then you roll with it really well. I do. It is definitely something I personally need to work on, because really, I don't have a choice. Because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And why stress about it today? Because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have to learn to be able to roll with it and go with it, because that's just life.
I love that. It's easier said than done, though. There's days where I'm not like that. I can say, oh, I live in this 24 hours at a time, and I can do that. And then there's days where I'm like thinking years ahead all day, and I'm stressing myself out so bad.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of anytime you step into uncertainty, you're going to go back to your root journeys internally, individually, and collectively as a couple. And so you're going to go back through navigating the, all of the heavy emotions and everything, but you want to bring yourself back and re-engage. And it's a choice to re-engage. Am I going to re-engage and keep moving, or am I moving away from this? It's really moving toward or away, and one of the things that I think is really important is kind of the vision of where are you going? Because if we look at the journey of abundance, it's all about everything you need is already here. All the people, resources, materials are already here. The laws of thermodynamics say that energy doesn't get created, it just gets transformed. And so as a couple, here we are taking energy and transforming it together as a couple. But if you don't have a clear vision of what you're transforming, then maybe that would lead to despair because you're not clear on where you guys are going. Maybe you're not very clear on your vision for the relationship. And we teach, have vision for yourself individually, but what about a vision for a relationship? Is it necessary? I guess that would be the question. Do you and your spouse have one, a vision, a common vision? Or do you kind of just wing it every day?
We definitely have a common vision, and I think that's what's kept us together. If we weren't on the same team, this wouldn't work. Like it, and even though you're, like Andy, you're saying like, oh, I need certainty, and then you're over here like, oh yeah, like I just go with it, 24 hours at a time. Like you guys still probably have a common vision, which is so cool about it. You can be totally different people, but work towards the same goal. But what's great about my marriage is we both have the same vision. We know where we want to go, we know where we want to be, and we know how we want to set up our kids' lives. It's just the uncertainty and the fear of getting there and putting in the work can get in the way a little bit. Like I can be lazy, he can be lazy. We might not want to do what's expected of us, but yeah, we have a common vision. And I suggest most couples should try to have something like that. You should have a goal you're working towards, because it really does unite each other. Like you guys in this show. That's amazing.
Here we are, Andy.
I know. It's like you made it happen. It's like so cool.
There's also the thought of surrender. So one of our journeys is the journey of surrender, which is rendering over to the pathway, or, God's way or the universe way, and not knowing how it's going to play out, not knowing what the steps are going to be. And I think often we put conditions on our relationship. We put conditions on our love. We put conditions on our visions. We condition just about everything. I'll do it if, right. And surrender is, if we go unconditional, which I don't think it really for humans, anything is unconditional, because we're human.
Yeah.
But at the same time is we put unnecessary rules on things, and I will only do this if, or I'll reach my vision if. And so then we don't, because we're not willing to follow the pathway that shows up. We want to follow our pathway. And then when it doesn't go that way, then we get upset because it should go our way. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that? Am I off?
No. That's when my will becomes more important than what, like you said, God or the universe or higher power, whatever anybody wants to call it, will is. So I believe that it's okay for me to have a will. I'm human. I have a will. I have wants, needs. I have things that I want to, get done in this lifetime. But when it becomes greater than the path that's already set out for me, then that's when stuff just goes haywire in my life. Like I'm fighting everything. I fight everything, everybody. No one's doing it my way. I'm just a mess. And so that's when I have to get realigned with the path that's set out for me. But it's as long as my path and my will is aligned with what's set out for me, I think I'm doing pretty well. I think that everything's pretty like go with the flow. All the coincidences that happen in life when things just line up for you. I mean, it's like, okay, I can't turn my back on those. That's where I'm supposed to be. But yeah, I know when I'm not aligned with what I'm supposed to be, because I'm just irritable. I'm not happy. I'm ungrateful, and that's not a fun place to be.
No, I can hear that. Andy, I'm curious about your thoughts around that too. I'm going to throw you in the spotlight.
She's like, oh no.
Surprise.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, I know.
Going back, like the gratitude is huge. Because like when you are focusing on all the negatives and everything, it does lead you down a rabbit hole. And then you can't see beyond that. You don't see the good stuff there. And then you do become hopeless. And then the other thing you guys were mentioning that there was a lot. Oh, what was the last bit? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Well,
But
just the letting go, like when we try and
yeah,
control
letting
it.
go, it's those expectations again.
Yeah,
That is something to be able to live in the moment and listen to your gut. That's why I've learned over time is when I don't listen to my gut, that's when I end up in a mess every time. And it's hard to find that peace when you're not listening to your gut.
yeah.
So just being able to do that, and let go of the expectations.
I'm grateful too. So we're navigating relationship. We've been dating about 20 months. So by no means are we experts. You know, I've been divorced. Andy's been divorced, right?
What?
I'm going to throw you in. Here comes the bus.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're willing to learn, and I'm so grateful in Andy that when I bring something to her and I have my insecurities show up and my gut feelings, because my gut feelings are always fearful. They're like
It's
the
gas.
world's gonna end, the foot's gonna drop, right?
Just kidding.
And
Yeah.
if I'm in my insecurities, which do come up for me, especially in relationship, I've worked really hard on not projecting and putting that on her and then trying to control the situation and control her. And I'm grateful that she's allowed space for that, and that hasn't been easy. There have been times where that has been challenging. And
I'm
so
very grateful though that you do that.
yeah,
No, it does make a difference that you, because I've been on the other end. So that's
yeah,
why I'm like, oh, this is this is a breeze. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at 10 in my emotions. And I'm like, oh, I thought you're at a 2, like I've been on the other end of the spectrum
like
where I
the
really
Whoville
truly
version.
appreciate you working through those, whatever the insecurities or whatever you're feeling. I appreciate that you do not project those on me. You do not throw it on me and say this is yours.
She's part Italian too. So Costa Rican and
I talk
Italian.
with my hands. So, but I do appreciate that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
do
that's good.
appreciate it. And it does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if we're looking at that, thank you for that. Because it's sometimes I'm thinking I'm a 10 or a 20, and she's like, you're a 0.5 right now in my world.
Right.
And so that feels good. That's reassuring.
He really thanks my ex for that.
Oh,
She's had a lot of training. Yeah.
yeah. If you guys want to like look really good, date somebody who just got out of a very abusive relationship. You're going to be golden. You won't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, you just look
But
like a saint.
yeah, you can get away with a lot. Yeah. No, but nurture. So there's a level of nurture. So one of our journeys, the 11th journey, is about nurture, which is about self-care. It's about also caring for the relationship and growing the relationship. Andy sent me a video this morning. It's beautiful. It was about couples that stay together. Know that a fight is just a fight. It's not going to decide the whole outcome. And if they're committed to each other, they can work through anything. And it's remembering, to nurture that relationship, right? But there's a level of both. You have self-care, which I take a Nick night every Wednesday. Not Andy's favorite thing, but she gives me room for it, and I'm grateful for that because I need that space and that reset. And it's not because I don't want to be with her, nothing like that, but I need that self-care. And so how important is self-care? What does that look like? How do you self-care? How does your husband self-care? How do you care for the relationship?
Oh, I love that you take a Nick night. That is so funny. I know couples, like successfully married people in my life, that don't even live together, and they
Mm,
love that. They're like, we
yeah,
live separately. We will never live together. And it's why they're still together. Now, me, on the other hand, I enjoy,
yeah,
living with my spouse, and we have 3 kids. I'm not going to be doing this by myself. And so,
yeah,
but self-care is so important.
yeah.
Um, it's so important. I take that time, like, to me, it's just like, so having 3 kids, I'm in a completely different boat. I don't really get a lot of alone time.
Mm,
And so, but when I do, like, honestly, it's just like a very nice hot shower for me. And I'm like, that feels great. It helps me calm down. I might watch a show. I go, have lunch with a friend, but it's connecting back to like what, like me just sitting outside for, 30 minutes by myself by the pool yesterday. It's just little things that I can do to have a little bit of alone time and quiet is huge for me. But if you're
Yeah.
not okay and the other person's not okay, the relationship's not okay. Space is good. My husband he left for 3 weeks to go do a boot camp EMT course. Longest we've ever been away from each other since we
Mm.
started dating. Man, and we were both in tears, as he's leaving. Cause I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And he's like, so sad to leave us. Within a day, it's like, okay, a day or two, it's like, we still miss each other, but the relationship's so strong. I know he's coming back. And
Yeah.
space is good. Like, space is so good. You can't be so intertwined in your lives. It's not good.
What?
Oh no, it's
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. I'm good.
You want space? I'll give you space.
I've never said that.
Never.
Oh, that was a threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want some space? I'll give you.
You want some space?
You want an hour? How about 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No,
space is good. And yeah, I believe in, just taking an hour or two alone and then I don't know, it just makes me appreciate him so much more. Maybe when he's gone all day at work, I'm home, I'm here doing things here. So we have
yeah,
space all day from each other and it's nice.
true.
And when he becomes a firefighter and he's
Yeah.
gone for 2 days at a time, it'll be okay.
Yeah. And we do have space through the day. Andy works, I
Mhm.
work, and we don't see each other, talk to each other for hours, sometimes. And so it's not like we don't have space, but it's different. There's a difference between self-care and fulfilling your job, because when I'm working, I'm not looking after
not
my
neck
own
time.
needs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And it's a different kind of energy. And I'd rather in that space be with Andy and talking with her than doing that job, but I've got a job to
Yeah.
do. Right.
Mhm.
So as and this went by way fast. Before I move to the
Wow.
next part here, Andy, do you have any thoughts around that? Additional
No,
thoughts
I
there?
space is good. Space is
Yeah.
good. And I think that's the thing is like, you like, okay, when you first told me, like when we're dating, you told me I have a Nick night. I need a Nick night. I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
You're like, this is a
What
joke.
the hell is this?
that. Like,
Right?
and then I'm good with it. It's good. I need an
Red
Andy
flag
night.
goes up. A
Yeah.
Nick
Red
night?
flag. She's like, he's cheating on me. No, like, and that's where our brains can go as women. Like, what do you need that space for me for? But you love
Like, you don't like being
know?
with me? What's wrong?
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it's an Andy night as well, and then we do
Mhm.
have our separate things, and we come together when we can, and if we can't, he gives me my space to go out with my girlfriends. I don't feel guilty doing it. I've actually become more like him, where I don't feel like going out with friends. I
It's
just want to
crazy.
hang with you. It's
Like,
weird. It's
This
weird.
is the girl who's a
Happening there.
party, loves being in the party, loves dancing karaoke. And then Friday night, she's like, I just want to go to sleep early. I am
And
rubbing
Saturday,
off on
I'm
you.
going to bed at 7.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome to me. We're in bed by like 9. We're like, I love this. Like, I don't go out at night. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't drive at night anymore. But that's good. That's rest. To me, that's self-care. I got to get up early. I have a routine in the morning.
Yeah.
I get up,
Yeah.
I work out. If I don't get that right sleep, I don't know about you guys, when I don't get a good night's sleep, like the world is over the next day.
Yeah.
Like, I am not able to function. So, but that's great. I love that Nick's night was able to transform into your own night where you're like, okay, it is okay to be alone.
And I'm in
Okay.
bed at 6.
Yeah. That's
She's
great.
like, I'll talk to you when you go to bed. And the Nick night starts at 5:00, and she's like, I'm going to bed at 6:00. I'm like,
That's so crazy.
I know what you're doing.
Well,
I
it's
see-
cold. It's cold outside. What else are you gonna do?
I know. Just lay in
I
bed.
don't want to wait
But
till
no, I
10 to
love
go
that.
dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But okay, so that brought up another thing. Andy does go out, and there's trust, right? Trust is a huge thing in relationship. And to me, trust is a living thing. It's not something you just do once and you're done. It's an ongoing thing. And for me the word trust means a confident expectation, which is if Andy goes out, she's going to come back to me. She's not going out with anybody else. And that's a learning for me to trust that, because I've had relationships where that isn't the case. You know, but it's also not mine to project on her my insecurities and my lack of trust, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, I love that. So I was in a very, very bad 10-year relationship before I met my husband. Lots
Yeah.
of betrayal, abuse, like cheating, everything you can imagine. So I brought all of my extra carry-on luggage into my, like projected all of it on my poor husband. I'm like, you're doing this, you're talking to her. Like it was crazy, but it's because I hadn't healed from any of that. I didn't even give myself time to not jump into this next relationship. Now, if I could go back to talk to old me, I'd be like, hey, give yourself a year or two, go do some work on yourself. But that's just not the way it worked out. So I've had to work on myself while being in this marriage, and him too. I'm not his first wife. I'm his second wife. So he's had to heal from that too. But trust is huge. If you do not have trust, the relationship is not going to work. And and it's amazing that today, after all of that I went through, and he wasn't all, it was bad. Both of us, it's 50-50 to make a relationship seriously go bad. So I take just as much responsibility, and now me and my ex are on good terms. That's my oldest son's dad, or we've made amends to each other. Now we're okay. And that was when I was really able to let all that baggage go. And today I can say I fully trust my husband. Like we don't go out, like we don't drink or party or do anything, but it doesn't mean there aren't other ways to connect with people. You don't have to go out to meet people and at a bar, but I don't check his phone. Like I have his passwords. He has mine. Like I would never even imagine cheating on him, because why would I ever want to hurt him like that? I would never want to hurt him, and he wouldn't want to hurt me. But trust is huge. And if you're not trusting somebody, there might be something you're doing inside. That's what I always tell them. Like, what am I? If I'm not, the paranoia.
Right. Why is that coming up in me? If that is coming up, like what's going on here? Additional thoughts there, Andy, about that? About the importance of trust?
It's huge. It is huge, because like something may not be happening. And if you have a person that is not trusting and they are projecting their fears onto you, sorry, something just popped on my screen. Okay. And they're projecting their fears on you, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy for some, and, either the person that's being accused, they're like, hands up in the air, like, I'm being accused of something that I'm not doing. I'm going to just like, whatever,
I'm going to go do it.
Already. Yeah, I'm going to go do it. Or what it does also is where they're projecting. And in their mind, they're thinking, I'm going to save this relationship. I'm going to keep her from doing this. I'm going to, just put up all these walls and do this. But the opposite is happening. They're pushing that person away from them. And, they may never cheat on them, but they're not loving this person that they're with.
They're controlling them.
They're feeling controlled. And it just doesn't, trust is just huge, and it does create a bond, and you have no control over what that person's going to do. They have no control over what you're going to do. You just have to trust here. And if they do something, it's not you. You're not the problem. It's nothing against you. It's what that person chose to do on their own, and vice versa.
Yeah. But unfortunately the other person takes it on a lot, but
take it personal,
in my experience, exactly. Like, oh, I did something. That's not true. And that's where self-love comes in, and self-confidence. But I have also found in my relationship career that everything in the dark comes to light anyways. So everything will hit the fan. It's supposed to at some point. It just, you don't know the timeline, but yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to go do the searching for it. Like if it happens, it's going to come up. Right.
That's right.
And so like that's where, for me, it's been a healing inside a relationship, because there's stuff that flat out doesn't come up unless you're in relationship. Like I don't sit there and look at myself in the mirror and say I'm chewing too loud. I don't tell myself that I got to put the dishes away at a certain time or do it a certain way. Right.
Yep.
So, and so when you get in relationship, you're going to get triggered like crazy.
Yes.
And what you do with it is what matters and this is what I'm grateful for in our relationship, is that there's room for that, because I've been in a relationship where there is no room for you to have your discomforts or your triggers. And Andy has been really good at allowing me room to not only have the triggers, but to heal from this. She's very firm as well as, you're not going to put that on me.
Oh,
Right.
I love that.
And so, and sometimes I need that call out of,
Yeah.
no, you don't get to do that. That's not mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm
the
not
same way
seeing
with
it,
my
you
husband.
know?
Yeah, he's the same way with me too. Like, but that's not mine to carry. And I'm like, but why not? Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I love that you have the openness like that to be able to say that to each other. But that also comes from learning from the past relationships of what you're going to put up with and what you're not going to put up with
Yeah.
anymore. And so that's beautiful.
So let's talk about the final journey here as we wrap up the show, which is legacy and impact. You know, legacy to us is the gift, a gift of will, or it's a gift that you leave while you're alive and when you're gone. It's the impact or the ripple that you want to make individually. Can you speak to your ripple as far as how you want to impact your relationship?
Oh man, there's so many ways. I mean, just what I really want to do is show our kids like what a loving and caring relationship can be, because that's always going to be a fearful thing. Like, oh man, is my daughter going to grow up and find somebody that's not good for her? Is my
Mm,
husband and my boys going to treat their wives a certain way or find, a crazy girl? Like, I I'm just trying to show them what a healthy and loving relationship can be, but I'm breaking so many toxic family patterns that I was raised with.
yeah.
That's to me the most beautiful ripple, is breaking ingrained traditional family patterns. And
Mm,
and so I'm really trying to do that, and I'm sure I succeed and I fail, but that's the point. And that's to me the biggest ripple. And just to help people, like if I can help someone feel less alone or say, yeah, I'm going through that too, I can
yeah.
reach out to somebody and talk about it.
I
Mhm.
like
I
that.
was thinking you are creating a legacy by doing what you're doing. You're focusing on your family. You're breaking those the what's the word, the patterns,
Yeah.
that what you've come from. You're just stopping it there. You're like, I'm going to create something different here. And not only are you doing that, you're doing that to help people. You're sharing your light, you're sharing your knowledge, you are just being you and impacting other people's lives.
I like
I
that.
hope
It's a
so.
beautiful ripple to leave.
I'm going to
Thank you.
drop in the comments here more about you, Ronnie. So I'm putting your
Oh,
link
cool.
tree in there
Okay.
so that people can click on it. And Facebook's not loving that, but somebody else will. Maybe YouTube will love it. I'm going to put it in the comments here too, in the banner. Um, it's just, there's so much more that we could go over. Let's see if this shows up here. I'm trying to multitask, and I'm not doing very
Yeah,
well at it, but we'll get there.
that's
Um,
okay.
so this is how people can get in touch with you. Is that right? That has all of your links in it, and the
Yep,
link
it's
tree?
got like a link to submit. So I
Yep.
answer anonymous questions in the newspaper. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. It's like a Dear Abby thing. I need more
Okay.
questions. Anyone's watching, send me a question. It's anonymous. I can't see your email because that's a huge thing for people. They're like, "Oh no, Yuma's a
Yeah.
small town. She's gonna know it's me," and I'm like, "No." And use that. You can book a free first coaching session with me where we can break down what's happening and change. So I'm here to help. But yeah, that link tree has got all my information on it.
I love it. So as a final wrap up here, anything else you wanted to share that should have been brought up that maybe wasn't? Any final thoughts? Any wrap up?
Oh
What
no,
would you
this has
like the
just been
viewer to see or know?
I would like them to take away that, like, I love a lot of what we talked about was that marriage is not some fairy tale. It's not some perfect thing. It's okay to fight and have downtimes. You're not alone. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses or only post like smiling pictures on Facebook. It's okay to go down and up and fail. And like what I've learned over the last even 10 years is I've learned the most when I fail. I learn the most when I'm struggling, and then I come out of it and it was a huge learning lesson. But I just talked to somebody, reason things out with somebody else, and that you're on the same team. You're
Yeah.
on the same team as your partner. It's not you against you ever. But our egos and pride get so in the way. And someone has to be right. Someone has to be wrong. And I've learned that two people can be right, two people can be wrong. And just always try to come from a place of love.
I love it. Yeah. Andy,
Mhm.
final thoughts from you?
No, I enjoyed this conversation with you, Ronnie, and you are an absolute doll, and I like saw your columns and stuff, I thought that is so cool. It is like a Dear Abby. I think it's neat that you know, just answer questions for people and are there for people. And I wish I would have had a Roni in my life, years ago.
Yeah.
But, like, Nick created
I'm always here.
that answers things now, but
it gets me in a lot of trouble, that app. Oh my god.
Oh, really?
You want to tell them about it?
I'm always here.
This app.
Great.
It's kind of like you talk to it and it doesn't get you in trouble. It just calls you out.
You're like, man, it tells her what to tell me
with this. Yeah.
But it is like having a mediator in your pocket, and even for yourself, if you're sitting there going, oh, I hate drivers, or I hate this and that, blah, 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 and you just rant to it, and it will help. It's very, it just walks you through it. So anyway, not to take away, but we love what you're doing, and I think it's awesome. So thank you so much for meeting with us.
I've had a blast. No, I thank you, Hugh, for recommending you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's our great friend here in Yuma. We love him. And this has been great. I've enjoyed this so much. So thank you guys so much for having me on.
You're welcome. For those that are watching, we will be doing this series, so the relationship series, every other Sunday. And so if you know a relationship expert that can be on the show, please refer them to us and we'll get them the invitation so they can be on here. If you have questions or things you want to cover about your own relationship, send those to us as well, and we'll look at that. The alternating Sundays outside of this will be on the growth series of the 12 journeys, where we're really diving into creating something new for your life. So now you've gotten okay with who you are. Now you want to create something different. We want to help you with that. So we love kind of tackling the 12 journeys from all of these different views, because they underlie everything that we do. And so, Roni, thank you so much for what you've shared. For those that are watching, you make this show what it is. It wouldn't be the same without your comments. We would kind of go nuts sitting here. They feed the energy. So it's amazing. So make sure you tune in every Sunday. You're going to get served powerfully Sundays at 9 a.m. Mountain. And we go live every Sunday. And then be sure to go to YouTube and look up Wake Up with Giants TV and subscribe. You got to hit that subscribe button for us. That helps us get the word out, and you'll get notified when we go live every single dang time. So appreciate both of you being here. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.